I had a fascinating conversation the other day with a person who described herself as spiritual, but not religious. And this just happened to be in a restaurant. I went in to eat real quick after the gym and just fell into this conversation. Talked gym, talked church. I mentioned that I lead this youth group, or not lead it, I'm one of the leaders of the youth group. I'm blessed to work with this young man because this young woman had said, hey, you're often in here with a young guy. Is that your son? I said, no. He's a guy I'm blessed to mentor, in my church. And so we're talking about the faith, et cetera. And she said, well, I'm not religious. And I got to say to her, what does that mean? And she said, well, I don't believe in God. I said, oh, okay. So to you, being religious means you believe in God. She goes, yeah. I go, okay, it means something different to us. That's fine. She goes, but I'm spiritual. I go, well, how's that work? What do you mean you're spiritual? She said, well, I believe that we're more than skin and bone. I mean, I believe we have souls. Souls. That's an interesting idea. What is a soul? And she said, well, it's the part of us that transcends, flesh and bone. What's it do? Well, I don't know. No one's ever asked me these questions before. Okay, but you have one. So we went through this conversation as she's serving other people, dropping back by, and I finally got to a point where God gave me a thing to say to her. I'm not saying it broke through. I'm not saying that she came to the faith. We're about planting seeds. But we got into a topic of intelligent design. And it boiled down in from me talking about DNA and the structure of DNA and how it's absolutely impossible. It's irreducibly complex. It did not happen through happenstance. And then I brought something very simple up. It has to do with a circle. A circle. And she was aware of this circle. And it was that actually caused her to pause and to think. I'll tell you about that in a second, because the Big Bang alone, it cannot explain life's origin. And this is a key evangelism tool for Christians. It's a key way to plant seeds. It's also fun to talk to people about this and to watch their responses. God coded our bodies. It has information in it. All of our bodies do. And really skilled people can use that information in really important ways, sometimes in very, very evil ways. In the case of Bioptimizers, they use this very, very well. So Wade and Matt founded Bioptimizers way back in the day after they had destroyed their bodies as competitive bodybuilders. I mean, yep, they were muscled up, they got the great abs, etc. They looked great, but they had hypertension, they couldn't sleep, they had all this inflammation. They were metabolically a mess. They went to a seminar with a doctor and it changed their direction. They'd been doing high-end whey proteins, sort of typical stuff in the supplement business, and then they went and learned about the things they'd done to their metabolism and their bodies. And they shifted focus. They invested in their own lab, their own scientists, and now we have Bioptimizers these many decades later. So they approach things like memory loss, loss of cognitive function. They approach that with mushroom breakthrough, clinically proven to show a gain in recall. Those guys did brain scans on their own brains, watching the progress of mushroom breakthrough before they would release it to the public. I take it. When I take it, I have a sense of calm, of intellectual calm, focus, and I do not forget things. That's such a relief during the day. That's mushroom breakthrough. There's P3OM, which they're renaming. I know they're going to rename this. This is a prebiotic. It gets your body ready to have the effects of probiotics. There's Masszymes, which helps your body maintain muscle or even grow it by producing 2,000 times, roughly, the amount of amino acids that would be in your bodies if you didn't take it. In other words, their lab is all about solving the problems that our modern day food system creates. So do this. Go shop. You know your bodies. I don't know your bodies. Go shop at bioptimizers.com/Todd. You get 10% off of any and all of their products. And when you subscribe, you get exclusive free gifts. You get exclusive discounts, and you get exclusive information packs that Matt and Wade write. Often those have nothing to do, whatever, with their products. It has to do with you being healthy. It's bioptimizers.com/Todd, promo code Todd. As I was talking to this young woman, I asked her if she'd ever read the Bible. She said, not a word. And that gave me a hint into this conversation because she's walking back and forth. And she's not there to talk to me. I'm abusing the privilege. So I had this little hint in mind of how to approach this because I knew we'd been talking about the Big Bang, etc. So let's talk Big Bang. So here's what we are to believe in terms of the Big Bang being responsible for the origin of life, not the universe, of life. There's already the conundrum of there was absolutely nothing. Nothing existed. And then there was an explosion and everything existed, albeit in prehistoric form. So from absolutely nothing came absolutely everything. That's unbelievable. It also violates some of the laws of physics. An object at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by another object. So let's say that it wasn't really nothing. Let's say that it was a seed, a tiny little seed. You know, because seeds, we see this in nature all the time. Seeds can grow into these magnificent trees, these tiny little, like a mustard seed. Jesus talks about mustard seeds because they're so small, but a mustard plant is huge. So let's say it wasn't really nothing. It was just observably nothing. It was just this tiny little seed, and then that seed blew up, and everything came. But wait a minute. What acted upon the seed? Was there motion inside the seed? So nothing caused everything. And this. You could view this from a materialist perspective. Okay, so the rocks that are planets, they came into being, and the rocks that are asteroids came into being, and the rocks that are stars came into being, and some of the stars are super hot because they traveled fast, or they have nucleoids in them. They're just super hot rocks. And okay. But then came the rules for orbits. So nothing caused everything, including orbital paths that sustain our Earth in a position in the universe as the only planet that we know of in the Milky Way that can observe planets around us. We are the only planet from which you can observe the universe, because the other planets are partially blocked by the Milky Way. They don't have our observation point. Okay. And then the right mix of carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, water, the exact right mix. The exact right angle on our Earth as it spins. Half a degree off, no sustainable life. That all happens from nothing. That's all materialist. But the Word. See, we read in the Bible that in the beginning the Word was God, the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness has not overcome it. That's from John 1 through 5. And it's referencing Jesus Christ. But then we also have this from the very beginning of the Bible. That young woman I was speaking with in that restaurant, as she went back and forth and served customers, and I asked her, have you read the Bible? She had never read the words, in the beginning was God. Pardon me, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and there was evening and there was morning in the first day. So God said, let there be light. Let's combine those two things, the Word and let there be light. Let's combine it into this. When the human cells that are sperm and egg come together microscopically, there is a burst of light. You can watch it, observe it. But there's something else. There's a burst of information. Two information sources come together. The DNA from the mother and the DNA from the father. And they combine languages. They combine words. And they create a rule system. And that rule system is readable. It is writable. It is repeatable. It is testable. It's understandable. It's transferable. It's language. It's the Word. That's what grows our bodies. That's what governs how we work. The universe you can look at materialistically. It's rocks. It's asteroids. It's a vacuum. We are none of those things. We're ambulatory beings with the ability to speak words, to pass words on, and we contain rules. To believe that nothing created everything, including a readable, writable, repeatable, testable, falsifiable, shareable, forwardable language, is madness. There has never been an instance where useful information has been created randomly. So this young woman heard this in bits and bytes. She's walking around serving other people. Who's the weird old dude Bible thumping her? And she came back by. I said, can I bring just one other thing up to you? She said, I'm actually enjoying this. I'm not religious. I've never been exposed to this, so this is interesting to me. So did you read a story the other day about one of our satellites finding a perfect circle on a planet? It was kind of hidden under all this dust. It was a perfect circle. She said, yeah, I saw that. I go, what was significant about that? She goes, well, I mean, perfect circles, those don't happen in nature. There's no such thing. And she stopped. Perfect circles don't happen in nature. The significance was we were told this would have had to be created by beings. Right. A very simple look at daily life will tell you that's human intervention. When you're walking through a desert and there's rocks and sand surrounding you and tumbleweeds, and you see out of the corner of your eye a perfect circle, you know that was something left behind by a human being, placed there or built there. It's in our minds that we can scan our environment and say, that was the hand of a human. It's in our DNA that we can look back and say, we are beings that contain the Word, and we're started through a burst of light.